Welcome to the June 2022 astrology forecast. My name is Kelly Kasle, and in this show, we are going to go through the energies and the astrology of June. And the way that I do these forecasts is I want to teach you, if you are wanting to learn astrology, what it looks like to go through the chart, to compare the chart energies of what we're seeing for the month to your chart, and then, of course, to talk about the energies and what's going on, what we could possibly see in the world, make some predictions. So, if you are following along and if you are joining me month to month, I recommend, of course, having out your calendar so that you can mark some essential days in the month to look and see what's going to happen on that day, both in the world and for yourself. If you want to really start getting into astrology, I recommend getting an app. Or even if you want to take it one step further and you want to get the program on your computer, to do that, I recommend the app Astro Gold. It looks like this, and you can download this on your phone and your iPad. It's $15, but then you have it for forever, and you can save charts on here. You can look at days ahead. You can compare charts. It's a really phenomenal app. So spend $15 if you're really interested in getting into astrology and get that app. If not, you can use astro.com online for free. It's just much harder to look ahead to certain days and compare charts. And yeah, if anything interesting comes up, take some notes, write some things down, and I always love to hear at the end of these, and especially at the end of the month or as the month is going on, what did you hear in this that then you saw in the world throughout the month? So let's jump in. June 2022, we are approaching retrograde season. I'm filming this on May 31st. Tomorrow is the first day of the month. How is everyone feeling after this new moon that we just had in Gemini? So right now we have a lot of energy in Aries. Even though we're in Gemini season, the sun is there. It feels very much like Aries season. Spring is very much in the air. There's all of this energy between Mars and Jupiter to take action, move forward. Passions are high. I've noticed a lot of people's emotions are high right now. We have all this Taurus energy as well. So those two things are kind of overriding the Gemini sun that we have, especially because Mercury started in retrograde in Gemini. Right now it's still sitting in Taurus. We're a few days away from it going direct. As you are listening to this, I hope that you continue to pick up the language that I'm using of the planets when I talk about them retrograding, meaning it looks like they're going backwards. Even though they're not, from Earth's point of view, that's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. When they go direct, then they move forward again. If they conjunct, they meet together. If they square, they make a 90-degree angle. If they oppose, they're opposites. And some other things that we'll talk about. But just start to pay attention to the language. Astrology is an art form, so you do have to learn the symbolism. You have to learn the language. You have to learn how it all works together. It's very similar to music. If I started to talk to you about different sorts of musical notes and forms and solfege, if you didn't understand how to read music, you would have no idea what I was talking about. So hopefully the more and more of these that you listen to, the faster you'll pick up on the language. So we just had this new moon, meaning a dark moon. We don't see the moon in the sky, which is a time of new beginnings. It was especially like a nice clear out after the eclipse season. I hope that you did all of your purging between eclipse season a few weeks ago and this new moon so that you can really start fresh in this summer season that we'll have by the end of June. Of course, summer solstice is on June 21st, though that is certainly not the most important day or going to be like the craziest day of this month. And right now, as we finish up this Mercury retrograde, because it happened in Gemini, I know for me personally, like technology isn't working very well. There's a lot of miscommunication between people happening or people needing to change plans last minute, and it's squaring Saturn, and Saturn is going to go retrograde, meaning stop and slow down here on June 4th. So even though Mercury's going to direct and we're going to start to have better communication and everything again, it's doing that in the sign of Gemini that looks for facts, an idea. It wants to know truth, solid, realistic truths. The first half of this month of June is going to be a wild news cycle. And one of the main themes of this month is the crazy facts that are revealed that are cold, hard facts. You can't deny them. You can't say that they're not true because they are fact, backed by scientific research and what is truth. Versus the full moon that we're going to have on June 14th, which is going to be a huge day this month, probably the biggest day this month. The full moon in Sag is going to highlight if the beliefs that we have created about our lives and the world and how we're operating in the world over these last 2 years, do those belief systems line up with the facts that are being presented now and bringing to light the truth of what is? That is a huge theme for this month. So let's jump in. In the first couple days of this month, as we finish up the Mercury retrograde, your mind is probably going to be racing. You only have 4 more days until Saturn goes direct to solidify whatever it is through this retrograde season where all the big planets go retrograde through kind of the end of October, mid-November. Whatever it is you have got going on in the beginning of this year, whatever you've started, whatever you have put onto your ship, because the hieroglyphic of Saturn looks like a ship. Whatever cargo you've put onto your ship, your projects, your people, that is what you are going to have to work with and work on through the rest of this year. Saturn is the planet of density. It brings form to matter. It slows things down. It shows you your limitations, which isn't a bad thing. We live in the 3D reality, the third dimension, where we are dense beings. We actually get to experience what it is that we create, which is a beautiful thing. So density isn't a bad thing. It just slows things down. So you're going to be feeling that in your life. Like in this Gemini season, everything's been moving. We've had a lot of questions, a lot of communication with people. Even if it has been miscommunication, there's a lot of communication. And that all is going to slow down here as Saturn goes retrograde on June 4th. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, here is Astrogold, the program that I use. And here we are on June 1st. This is what an astrology chart looks like. I'm starting this, and I'm going to be going through at around noon, this 12:37 here. I am going to use, actually, instead of Placidus, let's do this really quickly. Oops. Let's use equal instead. Okay. So we're going to be going through and looking at our charts at around noon on each day. So now the moon has moved out of Gemini here and into Cancer. Pluto is now in retrograde. Just to start you off with, like, where are we starting with the month? We have Saturn here in Aquarius. It's going to be in Aquarius here for this next kind of till the end of the year. We've got Mars and Jupiter over here in Aries. We will feel this Jupiter in Aries over the course of the next approximately year and a half. We get to work with that energy. Venus is starting the month in Taurus. She's at home here. She feels really good here. Of course, Uranus is about halfway through Taurus, and he'll be here for another like 2 years. The North Node, which is our collective lesson, collectively, what energies do we get to focus on? Where do we need to learn lessons in our life? Is here in Taurus. This Mercury has retrograded from Gemini back into Taurus. It'll go direct and it'll start moving forward again here. The Sun at the beginning still of Gemini. And that is what we're starting with. Neptune in Pisces still. That'll be another until 2026. So this is what we're starting with this month. Okay, let's move here. So, first couple days, we've kind of got the same energies going on. Nothing really moves that much. Once we hit June 3rd here, finally, Mercury goes retrograde. So, communication issues won't happen as much. Technology issues won't happen as much. But it is sitting here with Algol, the Death Star. So you see the big planets, and then you see these little things. These are asteroids, so are some of these other interesting black glyphs. If it's in black, then it's some sort of asteroid or meteorite, or far off star that we don't consider a planet. And they're like the sprinkles. They are like the extra adjectives that you use to endlessly describe something, but they do help see what energies are going on at this time. So be careful in these first couple of the days of the month as we're dealing with this Algol energy, this Death Star energy. It's a war energy. It is what's dark. It's fallen angel energy. Just be very careful. In Taurus, you have to do a quality check. And on the surface, it could look like a shiny angel, but underneath, what is the real heart of the thing? What is the soul of the thing? Just be very careful with who you're communicating with. Whatever it is you're communicating with, do your due diligence, use your discernment, do a quality check on it. And it's also over here, it's enshrined to Pluto. We've got Pluto playing in very strongly, even though it's the only energy still left here in Capricorn. It still has some very strong angles to different planets this month. So it is still a big player in this game. Remember, Pluto represents death and transformation, and transformation on a really big scale, transformation that takes time. So there's still a lot of that going on here. Okay, then the day after, we have Mercury go direct. Pluto, by the end of this day, so if we look to the 5th, it goes retrograde, and you can see any of the planets that are in red mean that they are now seemingly moving backwards. So because it is in square, which means it's pulling tension, it's kind of interesting. What I have learned over the years is that the squares actually cause more tension than the oppositions. When you have an opposition, those two houses, those two signs are just higher and lower aspects of the same thing. So for example, my favorite example to use is Pisces and Virgo, because I know these energies well because I have a lot of Pisces and my Jupiter is in Virgo. Pisces is the dreamer. It is looking at things at a big scale. Um, it wants to go in the water and be in the sea, where it be like up in the clouds, whereas Virgo needs to bring things back into earth. It's concentrated much more on the body. So we go from the body to the soul, the physical to the spiritual. So the oppositions, anytime we see this glyph here, isn't necessarily um, pulling and causing tension to compete. It's more just, are you in the higher realm, the spiritual realm, or are you more in a denser physical realm of that same energy? Um, it would be like with the Pisces and the Virgo, we have our spiritual beliefs versus our physical reality. And our spiritual beliefs craft our physical reality, right? So with squares, though, you have, for example, here, we have Saturn in Aquarius wanting to move forward, look ahead, think, use lots of ideas, whereas the Taurus energy that is in square to it wants to know, okay, how do I make this happen right now in my physical reality? What's going to make me feel good right now? Taurus is a much happier, more jovial energy, whereas Aquarius is a much cooler energy. Aquarians are cool, down to earth, don't necessarily express that much emotion, very easygoing people. Don't care so much about the physical, like what physically makes them feel good around them. Don't necessarily need the pretty things. So that represents here this tension between the two. Saturn is thinking ahead to your future. Taurus needs to know, what in my physical reality right now do I have to work with? And that is what is a major theme, since we have stacked here Venus, Uranus, the North Node, and Mercury. It's making us look at our money, the people that are around us, our home, our own self-worth. Do we feel worthy to receive the things that we are calling in? And if you are not aligned with something, where do you need to go and do the work to energetically align yourself to that? Hopefully you did the clean out of the stuff that doesn't belong to you anymore through the eclipse cycle. The universe certainly did it for me in some ways after I had already done the work. It's like it fully cleaned out the rest of it. But we have these big squares happening between Saturn and all of this Taurus energy happening. Okay, let's keep moving here. Once we get to the 5th, the moon opposes Saturn. This will, let me go back here. Okay, to the 5th. So here is an opposition that we can talk about. Leo is a very fun, jovial, happy, passionate energy. Whenever we have the moon here, it wants us to feel that way. And anytime it is opposing anything in Aquarius, especially because Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius in astrology, all of the zodiac signs are associated with a planet. There are planets that feel at home in these signs, and there are planets that don't feel as much at home in these signs. Saturn is at home here in Aquarius. It feels great, right? It is the strict father that is teaching you the lessons to be an adult for your future, which is very Aquarius. But it is competing with the little kid, the moon over here, who wants to go and have fun. So you might feel that on this day, this push and pull tug between I want to have fun and I need to get things done for my future. This is also the day, whatever you have taken action on to get going for your future, remember, it's gonna be set in stone for until late October, early November of this year. So just be thinking of that. If you've had any other projects that you just haven't gotten to yet, it's okay. There's divine timing in everything. You have to trust in the divine timing. With the Gemini energy right now, you just have to look at the facts of what is. And because we have so many pivots that are happening right now, the energy is still very sporadic. You can't see too much further ahead of where you are. The Gemini energy is asking you to just take one step at a time. You don't need a whole big plan about the future yet. That plan wouldn't happen anyways, because they're still throughout the rest of this year and really until 2026, if I'm being honest. I'll make a video about that and kind of what's coming for the next couple of years at another time. We are going to have to just keep pivoting the next couple of years. You get going down something and then you pivot, and then you go and then you pivot. Just like you're skiing or ice skating, you have to keep turning, keep pivoting. So my best advice for right now is to just take one step at a time. Know the direction, the compass direction that you're going. Take one step at a time. Then June 7th, this is going to be a really good day to get work done with that moon in Virgo. It'll highlight kind of the picky details you need to concentrate on. Remember that Virgo is an energy that wants to serve the family. It's very picky, detail-oriented. So, good day to work. And then the 8th through the 9th, we have the moon opposing Jupiter and Mars, and Pluto trining Mercury. Anytime you see these blue lines here with this little triangle, all of this stuff in the middle represents the angles, which represents how the planets work together, how they harmonize, how they communicate. If they are working together, you see the blues. If they are kind of working against each other in some way, causing tension, wanting two different things, you see the reds. So as the moon moves here, you see it over here in Libra, and it's going to move through Libra. It's going to oppose all of this energy. The moon is going to be asking for you to look for balance in your life, feeling balanced on those days. And all of this Aries energy, this is also, the moon is a relationship energy. So things about relationships could come up on these days, whereas all the Aries energy asks you to personally define I am. It asks you to actually be actively creating your ego shell. Remember, your ego is just the shell, the body, your unique being that you are living in right now. It's not a bad thing. Yes, egos can get overinflated if you take it too far, but right now is a time of definition and defining what you want, who you are, what direction you're moving forward with, and there's a lot of energy to do that. But these days on the 8th and the 9th will also bring up how are you in relation to others. Then we get to the 10th. Ooh, this is going to be a powerful, interesting day. So it's later in the day that this conjunction happens between Venus and Uranus. Remember, Uranus is the rebel planet. It is the freedom fighter. It stirs things up. You never know with Uranus what's going to happen. You can't make predictions about how Uranus is going to affect things. And that's what it does. It is going to join with Venus here in Taurus. Uranus has been shaking up our money system. That's why it's been really interesting. We've been seeing Bitcoin out of nowhere crash in the last week and a half, right? We're seeing stocks plummet and then go up again. We're hearing a lot of financial news. It's going to be really interesting on this day. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, the first half of this month, with the Gemini energy, Mercury going forward again here, with these meetups happening, we're going to have an interesting news cycle. It's not necessarily going to be things that are going to directly affect you at this time with whatever comes out. It's more going to be really interesting, crazy, weird stories that come out about these topics. So, on this day, look and see what kind of interesting news comes out. Perhaps financial news. Wherever you're making changes in your life, wherever Uranus is stirring up things in your life, this would be a day to look for the changes, or perhaps some unexpected changes, perhaps something that you've been calling in, because Venus is the things that make us feel good, that we love. Perhaps something unexpected and out of the blue will come to you on this day. So write it down, June 10th, see what happens. Okay, this is the week between June 10th and June 16th. This is going to be a really interesting week. June 11th, we have the moon down here. It's about in the next 2 days. It's going to line up here with this south node in Scorpio. The south node energy, like when I'm looking at a birth chart, that is the energy we're bringing in from a past life. It's where we feel really comfortable. However, it's not going to help us grow. So it's actually the energy we have to move away from. We have to let ourselves not get stuck in that energy. So when we're looking at the collective chart, this is the energy that we need to move out of. In Scorpio, it's a really deep, intimate, intense energy. It is looking at what is hidden behind the curtain. It can also, though, kind of highlight where we feel scarce, where we want to hold on to things too tightly, where we want to get overly emotional about things. So this could be an emotionally intense day, especially as it opposes, there could be like some fits had on this day. Just don't get caught up in dark emotions on these days. I wrote down this analogy. It makes me laugh because it brings me back to like high school. Don't trust the emo rock star boyfriend who promises you he will bring you on tour and show you a good time. That would be a very Scorpio energy. Come into my tour bus behind the scenes. It won't go well. You need to be much more in the Taurus energy, which is being at the big party around people that you know, not a whole new crowd that you have no idea who they are. Be in a well-lit crowd of people who you know, who you trust, who you love. If you are around those people that you know for a fact are fun to be around, good to be around, that is where you want to be. You want to communicate with those people. You'll have a great time. Don't go behind the scenes with the dude that you just met in the dark corner. Don't get pulled into the lair. Not a good thing to do at this time. Don't get caught up in dark emotions, in delusions. Be careful on these days of like overly wanting things to go your way. You might, if you are someone with a lot of Scorpio energy or 8th house stuff, trust issues could come up on these days, deceit, hiding. That moon is going to shine a light on all of those things. So just watch out for this, especially then as it passes over in the following days. We have the glyph here of Lucifer with Antares, which is the red, what do they call it? Like the red devil star. It's known as like the reptilian star. So we have a lot of dark energy down here on this side of the zodiac that the moon's going to be passing over and highlighting as it builds to this full moon here. So just be cautious on this 11th and 12th. And then finally, it's going to be great when the Mercury moves back into Gemini. It's left Algol, the Death Star, It's going to meet up with Alcyon and then Aldebaran later here. We'll finally meet Aldebaran is Archangel Michael, the protector energy. So that's going to start to feel really good. Now, on this same day, though, we have Mars almost with Chiron here. Let's see, is it making any other aspects? That's kind of interesting. It has a sextile to Icarus. Icarus was the boy who tried to fly to the sun with the glued feather wings and ends up falling off. And this energy is going to come into play big here on the 14th. We're almost there. So in these days, where do you need to communicate your wounds around your ego? Sit with that question. Where do you need to communicate your wounds around your ego? Who do you need to have conversations with? Perhaps apologize to? Where do you need to look at the facts of what is? Where has your ego gotten overinflated? You flew a little too far, a little too high. You made someone mad. Where are those things happening? Okay, we got to the big day. We're going to spend some time here on this day. A lot of things happening on this day. So, we have our full moon here on this day. It happens at 7:20 a.m. Central Time. This full moon in Sag, it will be at 23 degrees, exactly opposing the sun here. So this is the day. Full moons, of course, expand the energy. They make everyone a little crazy. Everything is a little bit heightened on these days. It is going to show, again, with all this Gemini energy, showing the facts to the world. We're going to talk about something interesting here I found in my research on this day. Where are your facts not lining up with whatever belief system you've created in the last few years? Especially because in the last 2 years we had the North Node go through Gemini. So that was the time period when everyone was just trying to figure out the facts, and there was facts from all sorts of sides coming out at us. Well, now, because it's moved into Taurus, just the facts are what they are. That is as clear as I can say it. And with the interesting news that we might see here in the first half of this month, it is going to be indisputable by the time we get to this full moon of what is, and it could blow some people's minds. They're going to have to reconfigure their beliefs on this day, and that could feel very uncomfortable, especially because Mars and Chiron have met up on this day. We still, of course, have that Uranus and Venus. Now we've got this stack here, Uranus, Venus, and the North Node, all within all within 5 degrees of each other, which generally we count a conjunction. It kind of starts around 5 degrees and then it gets down to where they are exact. But all of these energies are working very tightly in Taurus. Again, your self-worth, your money, your physical environment, all getting shaken up here, all getting looked at here. On this day with Chiron, Chiron represents the wounded healer. It is the wound that we have in this life that we have to heal, but when we do, it is the key to all that we want in life, to our biggest dreams. That's why it's this key glyph here. We have Mars, the ego energy, with Chiron in Aries. Okay, so Chiron is highlighting our collective ego wound that we have. Where have our egos been too inflated? Where do we need to heal that? And Mars is going to come barreling over it and like put a fire under it, essentially. Flame the fire even more. So it's going to be really uncomfortable. Now, what I need to share with you, this is my big warning for this month. In medical astrology, ooh, let me actually send this. So I don't personally do a whole lot of studying in medical astrology, but I do keep my eye on it. And especially when I'm doing personal charts, I will look at the diagram I'm about to show you, and I'll go through if people are having health issues and asking me about it, asking where might this have come from. I'm going to go and look at these two things. So this, let's rotate it here. Okay, this is a diagram of different angles that represent different health ailments and things that could happen. So if we look here, okay, Aries, the top of the chart, and we go this direction, we go clockwise. So what really struck to me, what I saw this month, can you see here how Mars and Chiron meet at 15 degrees of Aries? So I went and looked. I was just curious. I wonder in astrology, in medical astrology, what sits at 15 degrees? And I saw this stroke right here at 15 degrees of Aries. What have we been seeing a lot more of? Strokes. In this season, even though we are in the spring, where things are heating up, where generally people aren't as sick, if you are really stressed about life right now, if you are fearful of certain things, right, that is when you are going to get sick. You can actually, in your mind, create illnesses. This is where the placebo effect comes in, and I highly recommend reading Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, You Are the Placebo, if you want to learn more about this effect. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you can make yourself sick, but you can also heal yourself with the placebo effect. This is why I teach meditation and why it is so important to me, because I have literally seen at this point like hundreds and thousands of miracles of people who add meditation into their life and experience miracles, experience healings in both their health and their day-to-day life and what they're manifesting. It's such a powerful tool for me. So let's look at medical astrology. The different signs of the zodiac and the planets represent different parts of the body. So we start at the top. Aries represents the head, and then we go down sequentially through the different signs. So Aries, let's see here. Let's start here. Aries, the head, the face, the eyes. We also have a lot of Taurus energy right now. The neck, the ears, the throat, the tonsils, right? When you get a cold, this is what is affected. It starts with Aries, a fever, which if we look, diseases which pertain to the signs, Aries, headaches, fevers, eye troubles. It represents the blood, your arteries. That's why we see strokes happening. Then Taurus, the neck, ears, throat. Okay, we go down here. Diseases which particularly attack the throat, colds. Then Gemini, the arms, shoulders, muscles, bones, and the lungs especially. So Gemini, bronchial complaints, consumption, nerve diseases, pneumonia, asthma. So all of these things which we are seeing in the world right now are getting stirred up by all of this strong Aries, Taurus, Gemini. So this month, please, please, please take care of yourself on a physical level. Especially in the news, we could see a lot more things about stroke and certain parts of the population having more strokes. So please, 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 this is like my big just warning. I don't mean to say it to scare you, but on this day, like this month, take your vitamins exercise, get outside, get lots of sunshine, get lots of vitamin D. Do your best to lower your stress this month to keep yourself healthy. I just now, with the amount of studying I have done with astrology, and with how time and time again, as I'm looking ahead, making these predictions and seeing these things, and then see them come true, I just have to put these warnings out to people. So please take care of yourselves physically this month. And if you're interested in knowing more medical astrology, let me know, and I can certainly do more research and put more of it into this. Or if you want to know more about your own medical astrology, book a reading with me, a soul blueprint session, and we can go into it on a deeper level. Especially, it's so interesting, like on this day, Chiron is the healer. So if you've been doing the work, if you've been taking care of yourself, Chiron will heal you and open you up to miracles. However, on the other side of things, right, we get sick to show us where we need to shift and make changes in our lives. So unfortunately, sickness actually is a gift. It shows us where we need to shift. And with this month, strokes are going to be a topic. Sicknesses of the ear, nose, and throat, of the lungs, of the blood are all going to come up, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see this in the news this month. So that is my big warning for this full moon that we're getting on June 14th. Then after Venus has hit Uranus here, it is going to come and hit the North Node here on the 16th. So these same lessons are just going to get highlighted in really big ways here through the mid-month. Moving forward, so the moon has gone around. It's going to come over Pluto on this day too. Ooh, that could be uncomfortable. And then it is going to move into Aquarius. It will sextile, meaning work with, harmonize that Jupiter and Mars energy. So there's going to be a lot of energy to move forward. Be careful you don't fly too high here on these days. We have Icarus involved. But if you are working on things for your future, you will feel good and do well on these days. So moves through there. Moon moves over Saturn. Then we hit June 19th. Okay, so we've had the sun come over Algol, we've had Mercury come back and forth over Algol, and now Venus is meeting Algol. She's going to be like, what am I doing here? I don't want to hang out on this degree. And it is going to square Saturn. So this might be a bit of an uncomfortable day, a spiritual war day. We could see something very dark come out in the news, something false to try and scare us, a big illusion, something very futuristic. On this day, I would just mark a little star in your calendar for June 19th, and let's see what happens on this day. Then the 20th, the moon is now in Pisces. It will pass over Neptune here again, because I just talked about that this dark illusion energy. This is going to continue to feel very delusional on this day as the moon moves over Neptune, because Neptune does represent illusion, delusion, but it also represents our highest spiritual ideals and gifts and abilities, channeling our spiritual energy. So this would be a good day to do deep meditation, concentrate on the positive energy, the light, call in the light on these days. And then on the 21st, we get the summer solstice, which will be beautiful. The moon will be in Aries. There will be passion energy, fire energy. This should definitely be a feel-good day. Emotions will run hot. I'll say, like, remember, in astrology, with all of this stuff, with all the planets, the zodiacs, the houses, there's always the positive and the negative side, the good and the bad, the uplifted and the ugly. It is, what path do you choose, and it is really your choice on how to work with these energies. And when they're acting on you, when you're having a tough emotional day, can you just stay in balance? Can you stay neutral and not react to things, and instead stay in balance, respond when needed, perhaps not respond? That's a response too. So on this day, fights could be possible, could feel like a very passionate day, but it also can be a wonderfully passionate day. So just look out for that on the summer solstice. Then, okay, moving forward, as the moon moves over here, it'll pass over Chiron. It will pass over Mars. Again, on these days, emotions are going to run hot, so just watch out for that. Not all passion and fire, though. Has to be a bad thing. And then finally, on the 23rd, Venus is going to shift into Gemini. So we will feel a energetic shift here because Venus feels so good in Taurus. She's so at home here. Not so much at home in Gemini. Now we've got this stack of Gemini and Mercury here, or I'm sorry, of Venus and Mercury in Gemini. So still a lot of energy to communicate, be searching for facts, a lot of mind energy happening, stimulating the mind, stimulating communication is going to be happening here. So especially if you're someone with a lot of Gemini energy, it's going to feel heightened through this time period. Then we kind of have just kind of the same energy as we've had on these days moving forward. And when we get to the 27th, so you see the moon going round and round. When we get to the 27th, Mars is going to sextile Saturn here, meaning harmonize with Saturn. This is going to be a great work day, especially the moon's going to be sitting here with Mercury. Good day to make phone calls about whatever projects that you're working on. Good day to work. Go with the facts on these days, especially since Mercury is going to be squaring Neptune here. Yeah. So just watch out, again, that you're going with facts. You're not going with illusions, delusions. Then, okay, as I mentioned, we're getting into retrograde season. This next day, Neptune goes retrograde. This won't be something that you immediately feel. The outer planets have such a large scale effect. It would be like, it's kind of like with my instrument, actually. I play the bassoon, and my instrument's a color instrument. Not a lot of people know it right off the bat, like they don't quite know what it sounds like. But if you have like an orchestra piece that you really love, you know what it sounds like. And if I were to pull the bassoon out of that sound, you would know something was missing. That is what this is going to feel like when Neptune goes retrograde. It's going to be like your spiritual tuner has just been turned down a bit. You're going to have to work a little bit harder to reach some of your spiritual states, especially if you meditate a lot. Mars is squaring Pluto here now. This is gonna not feel so comfortable because Capricorn is the energy of the boss, the planner, the long-term solutions. Mars wants things now. It has kind of the blinders on. It's only looking what's right in front of itself. So there is going to be some combatedness between people who want to just do things right now and this more long-term view of things. But on this day, we have this beautiful new moon in Cancer this evening. So again, the theme of this month is making decisions from clear facts. Feeling into your heart. The Aries energy is very passionate, so let your passion, let your joy guide you. Make sure whatever you're doing is looking ahead towards the future, that you're not looking back in the past, and try and leave out the overinflated ego. That's going to be hard with all of this Mars and Jupiter and Aries energy. But it's a good time to work on that if this is something that you have been needing to work on. So, as we get here into the end of this month, the last couple of days on the 29th, again, Mars is still squaring this Saturn. It is, it is still squaring this Pluto. Sorry, not the Saturn, the Pluto. It's sextiling Saturn. We have the moon opposing Pluto at the end of this day. So the moon is going to be in Cancer, making things, especially the sun's in Cancer, making things much more emotional, making us want to do things that make us feel good emotionally. Where do we feel at home? You can use that question to help guide you. But Pluto is still asking what systems need to be torn down and rebuilt. So that might get highlighted on that day. And then we start July 1st here with Venus meeting Aldebaran. So finally she reaches Archangel Michael, and this savior energy. He is with us here all this month, like looking over us, even though he doesn't have as many of the big conjunctions as Algol does, the Death Star. He is there in the background waiting to swoop in and help us out this month. So again, just to recap the big days to look out for this month: June 10th, June 14th and 16th, June 19th. Of course, we have the summer solstice on the 21st, and June 27th are our big days for this month. So, I hope this helped you out. I would love to know, what do you see happening throughout the month? What would you still like to know about astrology? What were some of the things, maybe the symbols, that you had questions about as I was going through this journey? And what happens to you throughout this month, by the end of this month? I would love to hear it. I do offer readings, and there is a link below to sign up for a personal astrology reading if you want to know how this is going to affect you on a more personal level, because what we do is we take the chart that you see, we put it on top of your chart, and we say, okay, these energies are activating this area of your life specifically. And it is amazing whenever I'm doing one-on-one readings to see how accurate it is. I've just found this an incredible tool to help guide me through my life, to be able to work with the energies, go with the tide of what's happening in this world, as opposed to fighting against it. So that is why I use astrology. It's really helpful. I hope it's helpful to you as well. And I hope you are starting to learn how to use these ancient sciences that have been around for thousands and thousands of years, and which are finally coming back to light and popularity, and we're learning how to use them again. It's so much fun to go back in history and look at the different times when things happened and compare them to today. Again, astrology represents cycles of time because things keep moving. So it is a wonderful tool to predict what is coming up in the world. I hope this helped. If you're interested in a reading, go to the link below. I would love to get to know you, help you get to know your soul on a deeper level. I post little updates on Instagram all the time as we go throughout the month, questions to think about, Are you going with the energy? Is it a much easier day? Is it a tougher day? So follow me on Instagram at KKASLE. Um, and I love to hear from you there as well. Happy June, happy summer solstice, happy full moon. It's gonna be an intense one. Let's see what happens. Have a great month, and I will see you in July.